AITA for not attending bio daughter's wedding because her stepsister was not invited. Bio daughter's dad and I relationship did not end on good terms, and while I tried my best to keep the children out of it, he did not agree, and in an attempt to get the kids to side with him, he went on a smear campaign against me. While he didn't accomplish his goal of getting them to want to be with him, he was successful in straining my relationship with my daughter. I tried therapy and every possible, but once she was old enough to refuse, she stopped participating. I remarried when bio daughter was 13, and my husband had a daughter who is 2 years younger than our bio daughter. Since the beginning the girls did not get along. At first bio daughter was the one instigating, but eventually in their teens years, the hate became mutual. Both girls are now in their mid-20s and their relationship has not gotten any better. Bio daughter is getting married next year and she's having a fairly large wedding. I knew since the beginning that stepdaughter was not in the wedding party, but everyone assumed she was at least invited to the ceremony. While talking about the wedding, the topic of stepdaughter was brought up, at which point my daughter said that stepdaughter wasn't invited. When I asked why, her reasoning was that she wants an intimate wedding. This would normally be a reasonable response, except for the fact that even friends that she hadn't seen since elementary school are invited but her stepsister is not, so I pressed her and she said the reason why she isn't invited is because she's not family. I said if stepsister is not family, then neither is stepdad and her half-siblings, and by proxy I'm also not family, and so if it's a family-only wedding then there is no point in me attending. She obviously got upset and started screaming and ended up leaving. She told her aunts and grandparents, and everyone is saying that I'm an asshole for refusing to attend her wedding. Comment. Who died and made you the wedding guest list? Police. You say your relationship is strained. I wonder why. Obviously you favor your stepdaughter. You say their hate is mutual. Why on earth should I invite someone to my wedding who hates me? You can choose family, but you can choose who you invite to your wedding. It's well within her right to exclude someone she dislikes, and is disliked by. Why do you think it's reasonable to pressure her into inviting her stepsister with that kind of ultimatum? Why would it even be important to you? What is the benefit of having SD there at all? Sorry, but I think your daughter will go NC soon and she will be right. I agree with this. The relationship isn't strained because of the ex-husband, it's strained because mom decided to prioritize her new family. If the girls mutually hate each other, then why should daughter invite someone she hates to her wedding? Maybe you're doing your daughter a favor by not attending her wedding. She doesn't need someone who can't put her first on one of her most important days. YTA. I hope your daughter goes NC. Shouldn't be a big deal since you have your stepdaughter. It's not possible to say why the relationship is strained, from the information available. But whatever the reason, it's not the daughter's fault. Op says it is entirely due to her ex, but this is unlikely. When Op remarried, it is natural for her daughter to feel a bit forgotten, and there was a lot of work for Op to do here to make sure her daughter felt she was still important. It sounds like this didn't happen. Even if Op did all she could, her daughter still has no requirement to invite her stepsister. This. I will add though that there's exceptions to this rule, namely if they refuse to invite a person for bigoted reasons, racism, homophobia, etc. In that case, I say the bride/groom is in the wrong. But not here. Why would I want someone at my wedding if I don't like them? Or even if I don't know them well, for that matter. I was just at a wedding where the only people I knew was my mom and aunts, distant cousin I haven't talked to in 7 years. It wasn't great. It's not even that deep down, if you've seen this pattern play out before and know what you're looking for. Whether she's blaming the daughter or the ex, she 100% sees herself as the victim here because her daughter didn't embrace mommy's replacement family with open arms. Like, my estranged father to this day insists that my mother alienated me from him, because he refuses to believe that his own actions were to blame. I'm getting that same vibe from Op. Does your stepdaughter even care to attend? Why strain an already tough relationship? You're attempting to manipulate her into inviting someone that she isn't comfortable with. You're forcing a relationship that isn't there, and now you'll add to the divide. She will just hate your stepdaughter more and have justification too. She'll hate you too, and I wouldn't blame her. You are telling her that her feelings, her desires, and wedding are less important than your other family. I wonder if this is a common pattern for you. If you choose to not attend, be prepared for the consequences of your actions. Remember when you don't get invited or included in her other big events of her life that it was your fault. Next story 2. AITA for following my grandma's wishes and letting her give me her house instead of my mom. When I was younger, a family tragedy occurred, and as a result I ended up living alone with my grandmother from around age 9 until I was 17. My mother kinda went off the deep end and disappeared for a while, and my 3 half-siblings moved in with their dad, who lived a few miles from me. My grandmother and mother had a strained relationship for many years, although they're on decent terms now. Recently my grandmother has had health problems, and she lives in a state where they can put you in assisted living and then foreclose on your house to recoup medical costs. My grandmother reached out to me and said that she wanted me to have the house, and she was going to put me on the deed so the state couldn't foreclose and use the money to pay for her care if she needs it down the road. She had been vocal several years prior that she intended to leave me the house, and my mother and siblings got very upset. More context. When my great-grandmother couldn't walk anymore, my mom moved in to help her. She died shortly after, and my mom moved my sibs in with her. She turned it into a hoarder house and absolutely trashed the place. She had agreed to pay taxes on the house in lieu of rent, never did, and my grandma ended up renting another house down the road to allow my mom to live in what was now her house. Eventually grandma got fed up and kicked my mom out of the house and moved herself in. Recently the subject has come up again. My mom and sibs don't know I'm already on the deed, and my grandma doesn't want to tell them, because she doesn't want them to be bitter and resentful and distant during her waning years. She finds it very upsetting/gauche that they are fighting over my stuff like I'm already dead instead of respecting her wish to leave me the house. In her mind, I'm more like her son than her grandson, and my mother already trashed the house once. More context, my siblings all live in the same state as the house. I live across the country. My mom wants to take the house and then when she dies will it to all 4 of us equally to use as a vacation house. My brother in particular wants the house so he can stay there when he takes ski trips. My siblings all already own houses and are married. I rent, and although I'm making a comfortable living, I'm supporting 2 kids and my partner who is going for her master's and only works 1 night a week. My grandmother knows that if my mom gets the house, it'll just end up being my brother's 4th house and he'll Airbnb it, and use it for ski trips. She really wants me to have it because she knows I could use the boost, and again, to her I'm her son. My brother has been texting her asking about the house and what she's going to do, and he's called me to ask if I'd do what's right and give up the inheritance to be split. I didn't tell him the will won't say anything about the house because it's already in my name. AITA. I hit char limit, can give more context below. Comnet. Your grandma is doing what she thinks is best for the future of her house. She knows who will take care of it. But better get ready for security cameras so you can watch the $H unfold when they all find out. If it were me, I'd wait until the dust settles and then sell the house since you live so far away. That way nobody can trash it, try to live in it, try to make you feel guilty about it, etc. Take the money and stay far away from all those leeches. Thanks for clarifying and sorry for poorly assuming stuff about the relationship between you and your mom. Wishing the best for y'all. Imo living distance shouldn't matter and Granny's idea is still by far the greatest/smartest, and even potentially helpful for you and your family right/arrow partner and kids, especially now after considering the historical/emotional value that this house holds. And OMG, I didn't even think about the divorced ex possibilities. You're so right. Hopefully everything turns out well regardless of what happens, and not any sort of splitting Armageddon ever occurs. Say nothing and do nothing. You sound like you may end up doing some caring for your grandmother, even if that's POA for her financials when she's in assisted living. The others will be happy with that because they won't have the hassle. So there's no need to talk to them about the house. When your grandmother passes, your mother and siblings are in for a rude shock, but that's actually not your problem. But be prepared to call the police on any trespassing that may occur. Change the locks and get cameras up so you can catch them in the act. Then when probate and everything has settled, sell the house and move somewhere far, far away where you don't have anything to do with the rest of your entitled siblings. Basically, your grandmother put you on the property deed to avoid paying any possible future medical expenses. If in the future medical expenses are incurred, who is liable to pay them? Since the house is currently in joint names, surely any expenses would be a debt to the estate when she dies, so the property could still be sold to recover them. Further, if she put the property entirely in your name, and it was discovered that she did so to avoid paying her debts, the property could be seized as your grandmother clearly had the intention of not paying said debts. If your grandmother dies owing money to anyone, they have a claim against the estate. Your grandmother's plan could seriously backfire and leave you homeless and possibly destitute. I know your grandma wants them around, but she should really call them out for their greed. Maybe in a wow, is an inheritance the only thing you care about? That you would try to fight about it before I'm even dead? You acting greedy doesn't make me want to leave you anything. Maybe if you actually showed you cared about me and not my money, I'd consider changing things. Maybe that would stop the nagging and still get the family to be around. And then a line in her will saying that she knows they only pretended to care for money and they ain't getting jack.